Let's do a hard segue. And we'll talk about what's going on with the truckers. We got this story from Global News. Crossing delayed Monday at Manitoba U.S. border as truckers protest vaccine mandate. Have you guys seen this? A bunch of truckers blocked both directions, the Canadian U.S. border, so that it was difficult to enter and difficult to leave, because Canada is going to be imposing a vaccine mandate where if you are a U.S. citizen, a trucker, you can't enter Canada unless you're vaccinated. And if you're a Canadian trucker and you enter and you're not vaccinated, you have to quarantine. So naturally, people are protesting. And at a time when there's already shortages, at a time when the policies in this regard have already failed, it seems like, I'm sorry, man, I know people don't like hearing it, but it's almost intentional gutting of the system, because truckers aren't going to go for this. And without them, you won't get food. So why do it?
It's like they're trying to destroy the economy on purpose. It's like they're trying to have something like a great reset. It's like they're trying to destroy the current system that we're living under in order to rebuild back a new one that works in their favor. And I think chaos is the name of the game. I think that's what they're trying to achieve. There's always this kind of prevailing idea of order out of chaos. And if you look at a lot of the moves that governments have been making throughout human history, those are the moves that they're making. They create chaos. They thrive off that situation. They create the problem. They have a reaction that they know is going to be created by it. And of course, then they bring in the solution, which works in their favor, because there's no explanation. This is not based on any. Why are they doing this? There's no science. There's no data. There's no information saying that this is going to help anyone except destroy the economy.
We got the story from Timcast. Federal government moves forward with program that permits teens to become truck drivers. The trucking industry is in need of an estimated 80,000 drivers. So what's the plan? Teenagers are more likely to get the vax, so the truckers who quit over the vax mandate will be replaced by teenagers? Is that what's happening? I got to say, man, look, I feel like a chicken in a chicken coop. I got no idea what their plan is. It doesn't make sense. People are taking dumps in their water and then claiming they're not. And I'm just like,
what,
let me just say, people underestimate how clowned out the clown world is. There's a video I tweeted about some person saying their pronouns are clown and clown self. And I'm like, yeah, that about explains it.
Yep, that's right.
I'm thinking about the bombing of London. You brought this up last week during the Blitzkrieg.
Mike Rowe brought it up.
Yeah, Mike Rowe brought this up. And that after a few days of bombing, they just climbed out of the basement and got back to life as normal, because you have no other choice. It was a real emergency. You had to take back control of your life. This isn't... Okay, I don't want to step out. I don't want to say something that I regret later, but this is not the bombing of London, what we're going through right now. People are not getting their bodies exploded and running for their life. So... Is this a real emergency?
Rat utopia.
I'm sorry. When you compare it to war, it's not like that. Not
like the rat hope experiment. They put us under lockdown. Everyone panics, begins to go nuts. Then they take us out, dry us off, put us back in, and then we swim for 60 hours.
Yeah, if this was a real emergency, we wouldn't be waiting for authority to give us the go-ahead.
Well, to play devil's advocate, and I'm not saying that this is what I believe, I'm just saying, is there any other reason why they would be doing this? I absolutely believe there are people in power who are doing this for control, for authority. But I'm wondering, what about, aren't there people in positions of power who genuinely believe it themselves and are just as caught as people watching MSNBC and genuinely believe that this is going to work? Through their arrogance and their certainty about their version of reality, they think that if they do this, they are going to get people to get vaccinated. I'm not saying it's right, but is it possible that it's not always sinister? It's not always nefarious and manipulative. It's actually just people who are also programmed.
Well, we got a problem because there's a zombie horde taking over, and they're marching through the streets. They're unable to tell. You know what it is? I explained this of Jack Dorsey. He creates Twitter. Twitter creates fertile ground for the refuse of the far left broken ideologies. Jack Dorsey, having created Twitter and now following people who are trapped in the sewer of Twitter, he begins drinking his own refuse and believing his own insanity. And then his opinions get shaped thinking this is reality, when in reality he made a big toilet for people to take dumps into with their garbage ideas. He absorbs those garbage ideas, thinks they're real. So what we have is there's a possibility that there is a cabal of powerful individuals who are pulling the strings with big corporate donations, with lobbying and things like that. And I think that's true, obviously, to a certain extent, but it's entirely possible that crackpot idiots on CNN follow other crackpot idiots, and they recycle information, playing a big game of telephone. And then here's what happens. Somebody writes an article, And they're like, I need clicks. So they're like, I think Trump is a fascist. So Trump behaving like a fascist? Print. Then their friend following them sees it and they go, did you read that article talking about Trump acting like a fascist? You know, it's pretty fascistic. So then this guy then writes an article saying Trump is a fascist. Then his friend sees it and says, whoa, Trump is like the fascists. He's like Mussolini. Then he writes Trump is like Mussolini. Then someone sees it and says, no, not like Mussolini. He's like Hitler. Then they write Trump is like Hitler. And then someone else says like Trump is as bad as Hitler. And then someone goes, he's worse. They're all just basically swimming in a circle of their own sewage, exciting themselves. And then after a week of telephone, they're all screaming that Trump is the reemergence of Hitler. And it's like, yo, you guys are nuts. Calm down. Stop drinking each other's waste and just actually get out there and talk to real people. They don't do it. So now they're screaming. Bill Maher brings it up that Democrats were polled and they were asked what the likelihood was, percentage-wise, of needing hospitalization if you get COVID. And they said 50%. And he was like, what? Republicans and independent voters got it right, 5%. But these are people who believe each other, hyping each other up, constantly one-upping garbage fake news until they're like, lock the whole country down, burn it to the ground, otherwise everyone dies. They are running around screaming the sky is falling, and for some reason we've been listening to them and arguing with them instead of just excising them from political discourse and saying, do whatever you want, I'll be over here living.